Hello, welcome to the Modern Data Governance series by Wavical Data Solutions. This webinar is going to be around data success with people. Okay, we're going to focus in on some things that we can do to be better at our data programs and be better at data governance with a strong people focus. Okay, real quick, an introduction of myself. My name is Dr. James Barker. I'm the data governance leader here at Wavical, and I want to highlight a little bit about my background and a lot about the teams that I've worked with over time. Okay, one big point here. None of my accomplishments in my career, not a single one of them, including my doctoral work, has been done by me alone, right? So if I look across my career when I was at Best Buy, we really used the data warehouse in the early days to really use gamification to help improve company performance, helping with stock corrections, and also we did some great stuff with market basket analysis and segmentation and a bunch of great stuff. Price Waterhouse, we did the merger to become PricewaterhouseCoopers, did a lot with data quality, and to me the big one is when I was working at Compaq, being able to go out and really discover the first really big Y2K bug for Oracle's database around Leap Day. At Thomson, we really invented big data. The things that we're doing, we rolled out the world's first big data solution, built something called the Data Mining Data Mart, did great things, great pioneering work with data quality and data observability. Informatica, really built out the data migration use case, integrated data quality after an acquisition, and really restarted and reset the SAP relationship. At Honeywell, massive ERP type of implementation, their CPS program. We got 700 plants live in 70 countries in 7 years, really originated data governance capabilities and spearheaded a really an optimized way to do SAP deployments. Um, and then the last one there is just a lot of stuff at nCloud where we brought together data science with data governance with customer success and just did some great things, including building out a new methodology and some other things that are there. But all these things happened as a group. So I always like to talk about 10, 100, 1,000. I'll say there's typically for most people that have been in work 10 to 15 years, there's probably 100 different people that you've worked with and collaborated with and made things happen. Okay, so there's the 100 of 10, 100, 1,000, and you've probably influenced 1,000 people from those different projects if you really get down and you think about it. For most people, um, for me, the 100 is probably in the 300s, and the 1,000 is probably in the 10,000s because I've been doing it for so long. But then the 10 are the people that are toxic, the people that aren't really helpful, the people that are out for themselves. And there's not that many people that we wind up working with. Yeah, we have bad days, and yeah, we'll have a client yell at us from time to time. But really, there's very few people that are truly toxic. If we collaborate, if we work together, that's where we can have great successes. So think about that as we're moving forward. Okay. So the agenda in the session is really, I'm going to talk a bit about avoiding heroes, a bit around personas, talk about data councils and a little bit of reset and how to make that more successful. Talk about a little bit of a novel idea around communities of practice, and then three things on moving forward, right? Big thing is, I reviewed this with one of my peers, and she thought that this is all stuff that people know, but really it's not. I mean, really, we say, oh yeah, we knew that at one point in time, but then we drifted away from it. But this is a little bit of a reset and a little bit of some novel ideas to help you all out, right? So one little thing before I get into those 5 points, this is what we call the data burger. It's an evolution of what we set up for data governance at Honeywell around 2010. It became the framework for my doctoral work. And I've had about 3 different versions of this that I worked with folks on. One at Wind Shuttle, which became part of Precisely, one at Elation, and then the one we have here today that we really use to move forward, which has more focus on data ops and privacy and enablement than probably what we've seen in the past. But the reason this is here is because we're going to really focus on the crown of the data burger, the top there, which is people and data leadership. All right. All right. So first thing, why is the idea of a data hero notion such a bad thing? Okay, that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, so yes, we have people that feel like they're running around and making everything go, and we want to feel like heroes. If that makes you feel better, great. But I'm going to take a counter view to that. Okay. All right. So ask the question: are data professionals superheroes? Some people want to think that way. I would go against it. I want to do stuff with the team, and I want the masses to be great, not just a couple of all stars. All right. There's quite a few software companies over the last 5 years that have liked to talk about data professionals as superheroes. They use it as a selling point, right? To me, it's kind of short. It's kind of short-sighted. Um, you Snowflake did it most recently. Elation did it the year before. I think Informatica did at one point in time. Pretty much every software company I've ever worked with as a customer probably has tried to paint this picture. All right. My view on this is we aren't, right? We are not superheroes. We are people that are at our best when we're working together, all right? Where we've got collaboration that's bringing people around, all right? So let's talk about superheroes for a second, okay? So we got Superman, we got Batman, we got Wonder Woman, we got Iron Man. Okay, so if we think about their characteristics that we have, Superman, okay, no, data folks can't telepathically see the data challenge before they happen. Okay, they don't always have a super sense of data issues, nor can they soar through the sky and help the knowledge workers and the data users get what they need, and they're not invulnerable to data issues. Okay. If we take a look at Batman, no, we aren't always master detectives. We have some people that have some good skills in that area. We have some people that have some genius level intellect, or people think that they do. Um, you know, we aren't master tacticians and strategists all the time. We aren't escapists from data harm, have an indomitable will, or have data weapons experts. Yes, there's people that have different pieces of this, but to think that somebody has all this stuff is a little disingenuous at best. Okay, Wonder Woman. No, we don't have a transparent jet. Okay, um, we'd like to, but we aren't always clever and mission oriented. Sometimes we get intimidated by situations. Sometimes we yield to the loudest voices in the room, and sometimes we do get influenced by emotions that are out there. Okay, and then the last one is Iron Man. We've got some people that are good in math. We probably don't put enough focus on the mathematics side of our world. We don't always have master engineers or master tacticians, etc. Um, but all these things are things that we've got maybe bits of. But when we're at our best is when we have one team and we're all pulling together. I absolutely adore when we're talking about data stewardship using the tug of war idea um, as a way that we're pulling together. So when we're pulling together, we're much better when we got somebody sitting in a corner or sitting in the dark corner of their basement at home doing some special top secret stuff. When we're working together, we're at our best. Okay? So just keep that in mind as we move forward with this. All right, second thing we're going to talk about is around personas, but a little bit differently than what you see that you might have seen in the past. All right. So for years, we've talked about this thing about don't confuse roles from jobs. So job is what HR gives you. A job is what you get paid for, a certain amount. Roles, you could be doing multiple roles in order to really do your data function or your business function or whatever it is. Okay. I like to look at personas a little bit differently, in that personas are what make up roles, which make up jobs, and they're a different set of tasks and capabilities that you need to have. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. But I'm going to make it even a little bit more cumbersome. And I'm going to talk about this idea of persona classes and how we can group some personas together for really ease of use and being better at the things that we're trying to do. So the four classes I like to talk about are creators, builders, supporters, and consumers. All right. So if we start out with creators, okay, these are the people that are creating data. I like to focus on creating data more than metadata. So these are the people that are creating customers. They're creating sales orders. They're creating invoices. They're going through and procuring raw product. They're doing all these different things. The bottom line is they're everywhere. All right. We also have people that are helping to create metadata that we use in our data solutions. But for this discussion, I like to think about data creators as the people that are creating all of our operational data, all of our third-party data, any of the data we've got that we're bringing into the business realm. Okay. I like to think about builders as being largely data engineers, data scientists, and data analysts. And these are the people that are building out these new data capabilities. The analysts are listening to the business, seeing what their challenges are, and organizing requirements to get requests in to build stuff out. Data scientists are building out all those rich models that people are going to take advantage of. They're finding where those relationships are, and data engineers are building out a lot of the content and the capabilities that we can use to drive things forward. Okay. And then we have supporters. So supporters are going to be the people that are out in the business that are doing different things. The more distributed we are, the more we need to understand who the supporters are in our organization. Okay, we've got CDOs, we've got business leaders, we've got functional VPs, we've got business presidents. All the people that are supporting our data efforts are important. We need to remember data stewards are really the the people that are giving us a lot of support and alignment and helping people move forward. And auditors shouldn't be looked at as the enemy. They're keeping us out of trouble, out of harm's way, and we want to go through and work with them as we're driving things forward. All right. And the last one are all the different types of consumers we have. And actually, most of the other personas we already listed could probably also be in the consumer column here as well. But they can be the data consumers. That might be somebody who just runs a report, sees a piece of data that they need for any of their business functions. It could be knowledge workers that are digging deeper and deeper, and maybe they're creating new analytics off of things to help to drive things forward. But it's all the people that are out there that are actually using all the other work that we're doing to really drive business value. So think of it that way. All right. So the interesting thing about these different personas in these persona classes is there's a wide range of school of skills that people need to have. Okay. As an example, and this isn't an end all be all, but it's a nice framework for you to think about to use in your organizations. So what we've sort of done here is we've come up with 5 core sets of skills. Skills around BI tools, around SQL, around data integration, around using statistical tools, and then using catalogs. And you're going to see that everybody's in sort of a different spot on this illustration of where people are at. So if you start to think about all the core skills that you believe people need within your organization, and then come up with that kind of a line, and then think about your personas and plot people on that. This is the on average, a data engineer is going to have these skills related to BI tools or SQL or data integration, etc. And this is what a data consumer may have. And think about that and think about what you can do to get people up to those levels to have that average set of skills that are there. So this is a great way to go in and take a look at these. Okay? All right. Point 3, data councils. So we're going to do a historical look first. So David Lotion in his book on master data management, probably written 15 years ago, talked about 4 different levels of councils: stewardship, coordination, oversight, and sponsorship. They're not wrong today, but I think they've evolved out a little bit. So the idea here is bring your stewards together, have a coordination council, which is more of a tactical team, oversight, and sponsorship. I'm going to show you a different view of this here in a second, but that's what we're really trying to go in and take a peek at. Okay, but we wouldn't be where we are today without some of the work what Lotion and others did, 15 plus years ago. All right. Okay, so I like to talk about the 3 plus with councils. So this screen shows the 3. So Tactical committee, a steering committee, and executive councils. Not that different, just more evolved from what we talked about here on this slide from Lotion. Okay. All right. So I like to start at the bottom. My favorite council, where I see the most business value, is actually a data governance council. This is typically a group of data stewards that are getting together, your more senior data stewards across business units, across functions, um, that are coming together on a weekly basis, and they're sharing and collaborating on what's working and what's not working. They help to address policy, clarification. They communicate opportunities to get better, and they help to manage governance across the overall organization. Okay, what they don't do in this meeting, they don't write policies. They don't do deduplication. They don't do these other things. What they're doing is they're coming together to be transparent, to be sharing, to be helpful, to help to drive things forward. I think this is the most important of the three councils that we're about to show, which I know is not in alignment with everybody in the world. A lot of consultants particularly will say, look, you have to have a sponsor and you have to have an executive council to be successful. I think success is going to be driven more out from the Data Governance Council, in my view, in my experience. Okay, middle level steering committee. This is a data steering committee. They meet about monthly. They're going to get a lot of feedback from what the Data Governance Council is doing and what the data stewards are doing, but they're also going to hear from senior levels about where the company is going and what their needs are, right? And they can provide great guidance to the Data Governance Council that, hey, you want to be looking and doing this kind of thing. Okay. Um, and they're also going to be helping to support what the Data Governance Council needs at the executive level and push things up that way as well. So they play that great middle ground. They're typically the managers or directors of the Data Governance Council members, or maybe even a level up from there. Executive councils, executive data committee, great to have. You don't necessarily have to have one. Let me say that again. You don't necessarily have to have an executive data council. What you might choose to do instead is sort of glean onto one that already exists. If you have an AI council, or if you have a digital transformation council, or you've got something, an IT council, maybe even, um, that have business representation across the organization, you may want to just be part of that because those executive groups hate another standing meeting, right? But all you're trying to get here is support at the C level or the VP level to feed up to the C level, and to establish and build executive support and let them know what good is happening, what help you need, etc., and go from there. There's a lot of firms that start out going after that data governance council, get some success, and that's where they start to get some executive buy-in and maybe get their sponsor that way. It's sort of a I think of this as a top-down, bottom-up approach, right? Where you got people at the top that, okay, yeah, you can guys go do something like that. And then if you get success, you can go through and start to get more people engaged in the things that you're trying to do. Okay, so 3+, 1, 2, 3, Data Governance Council, Data Steering Committee, and Executive Data Committee. The plus are Tiger Teams. Tiger Teams is a special purpose team that you stand up with a really tight remit, has some senior level sponsorship, has a targeted timeline. It gets recognized that it's being formed at the start and then that it completed its things at the finish. You always want to close these things out officially, not let them just sort of drift away. All right. You want to socialize success, socialize challenges, and drive forward with that. Data programs have a wide variety of these types of council little tiger teams that pop up. Everything from data literacy to privacy to quality. Maybe you've got a data access control problem, whatever these things are. But the big thing is, okay, we got a problem. I got somebody that will vouch for it and sponsor it. We go and we do it. We get done. We say, look, this is all the great stuff we did, and we close it down and we move on to the next thing. Okay, so that's Tiger Teams. All right, 3+. Again, Data Governance Council, Data Steering Committee, Executive Data Committee. There's your three, and Tiger Teams as a general concept as the other ones there. Okay. All right. When we organize these councils, particularly the Data Governance Council, how you set them up really varies a lot depending on your organization. So two examples we laid out here. One is going to be one that's functionally aligned and one that's business unit aligned. So the functional one has representations example from core functions in our business, but I always, always, always want to have the CISO involved. I want to have somebody from data or information security involved, invited. They may not attend all the time, but keeping that relationship there is really super important. Don't try to keep them at arm's length. Try to bring them to you, not push away. Okay. And then business unit alignment, that's where we go through and we say, look, we've got a pretty big organization. We want to represent all of our different strategic business units, and we want to help to drive that thing forward. Might be good to also have people in those business units. Maybe have somebody that's focused in and comes from each of the different functions to help you as you move forward. So if you've got a business that's got a lot of finance complication, let's say for your banking business unit or finance business unit, then maybe the person in that is also a finance heavy and go from there. But think about the way to set up your councils that represent the way your organization really works and functions. All right, go from there. Okay, step 4, communities of practice. The idea here, just one slide for this, is that you build out a community of practice that brings stakeholders together. This could be, let's say, if you got a really big data stewardship organization, maybe that's what it looks like, but this is generally something bigger than that. Bringing together all of your analytics users, giving them an opportunity to join and participate in this can be really super helpful. You meet about once a quarter, okay? You've got a distribution list that basically has the people that are participants or possible participants in that community of practice, and you meet about once a quarter. You're going to have people in all levels of the organization, and you're going to be sharing information, doing knowledge transfer, doing a lot of things like that. The format that I love for the quarterly meeting is general announcements, followed by a business topic to educate people on this, to followed by a technical topic that's got a lot of business involvement in it, and then some brown bag Q&A. When I rolled the first one of these out, I had like 32 people join. Okay, granted, 30 of them worked for me. Okay, either dotted line or solid lines. But then when we did the next time, we had like 65. When we had the next time, we had over 100. And the next time, we had over 600. And the thing was, after we got 100 people there, I had a couple of senior level folks reach out and say, hey, I hear that you had this community of practice meeting. I don't really use any of these data tools, but I'd like to join. Can I get invited to that? And there was a bunch of people that reached out to me that way. That showed that we were on to something. So bringing this community of practice together to say, hey, we're trying to do great stuff in data. We're going to have this quarterly meeting. This is what our agenda looks like. And you run the meeting really, really well. You share a lot, and you're super helpful. That's what the outcome here is, and helps to drive things forward. All right. Okay, so last thing we're going to jump into is just moving forward. 3 key lessons we want to share. All right. First one, we want to develop people and celebrate group success. And this was recorded initially right after the Olympics in Paris, so we've got a little bit of an Olympic theme here today. Okay, so we're going to talk about developing talent and celebrating success, and I'm going to use a personal reflection that's here. So um, my daughter, when she was younger, she swam a lot. She's moved on to other things by the time she got to high school, and she's now just almost out of college. But there was a young girl that she swam with at a place called Foss Swim School where they learned how to swim. So here she is. This isn't my daughter. This is this other girl that I'm talking about here in a second. And at the school, they would teach kids. They'd have like a Dixie cup, and you dump water over their. They dump water over their heads to get used to getting their head wet. They learn how to tiger paddle. They learn how to swim like 5 feet, and then they would get swim different strokes, and then they'd move the little pedestal further out and further out. But they developed their skills. They developed how to do that. There was one girl in the group who swam there and then moved on to a place called Storm, a swim club that my daughter was always in. So we got to see this girl grow up a little bit. Anyway, in Paris, her name's Reagan Smith, and she swam in 5 different events and came home with 3 silvers and 2 golds. And she said the biggest thing about getting to be a good swimmer is the lonely hours in the pool, building up your muscle memory, building out your capabilities. She stayed after it, had great coaching, had great support, and that's how she got built out to the point that she got multiple. She's there in the far left, um, multiple medals at the Paris Olympics. Okay, so again, a lot about developing talent. My favorite moment from the Paris Olympics was actually the men's gymnastics team from the US when they won the bronze. They were so happy with each other and helped to move forward. Why does this matter to me in data, right? Well, we've got to develop our people really strong and we want to celebrate team successes. So implement data coaches. These aren't volunteers. Get people on board to go through and as part of their job, as part of their persona, as part of their role, let's go in and get them to coach. Let's focus in on data enablement so we teach people the right way to use new capabilities when they come out and as we're successful, do group recognition. Okay. Really celebrate the accomplishments of the group, right? I can't stress that enough. Promote the accomplishments of the group. So, number one, let's develop people and celebrate group success. Number two, we want to eliminate toxicity. All right. We want to increase openness and we want to support each other. So, saw this on social media a couple of weeks ago. Somebody put a little nasty sign up on their desk saying, "Don't come to me with questions unless you've tried Chat GPT." I always hated those kinds of signs people would put up on their desk. We should be there to help each other. That's a good example of toxicity. All right. During the Olympics, they talked a lot about the toxic water in the river for the long distance swimming events, and they had to focus in on trying to make the water better, hope for the rain to stop, and then have the bad water drift out. And they were able to get the events in. But think about that. Think about what makes your organization toxic and what can you do to make it better. Okay. So, supporting each other, it's a really important thing. So, one of my favorite stories from past Olympics is in '92 in Barcelona. Derek Redmond ran the 400 meters for Great Britain, and he tore his hamstring on the backstretch of the 400. And for anyone that's ever run the 400 meters, getting hurt on the backstretch and trying to finish the race is the loneliest place on the planet. And then you got millions of people watching at home on TV. In this case, his father busted through the security, came out, and helped him walk and get around that. He provided that support. Do we do enough to support our coworkers and do things to move forward? Or are we always just doing things to push our career forward, get that promotion, get a pat on the back, whatever it is? I would rather recognize somebody for helping somebody else than recognize somebody for that one individual thing. But what we're really talking about here that we want to make sure we're doing in data programs is we want to have help desk type functionality in coaching, like on the last slide. And we want ways to orchestrate help when they come through, right? How do we go through and find out how do I get a question answered? Who do I ask? How do I get that support? And as people are asking those questions, are they being answered? That's what we're talking about here with orchestration. So think about that as you move forward. And the last one we've got is building the community. Okay. So I'm using Olympics again. I'm going back to London, where I happen to be able to be there for work during the London Olympics. Um, and so there's the Tower Bridge with the Olympic rings that are there. And the thing that I was most impressed with at the London Olympics is how many community members were volunteers in helping to make the Olympics run really well. I've done probably 100+ trips to the UK. When I got off the tube in central London to go to my hotel, the people that were at the tube stations and giving you directions and where to go and how helpful and friendly they were was just amazing to me, right? So here I am. Here's a picture I took during the marathon, and you see all the people in the yellow vests. Those are some of the workers that are there to help the crowds. I got to also see the the gold medal match between Brazil and Mexico and saw how great all the people were working together. And again, volunteers were great. And there I am there at outside the stadium. But the bottom line is the UK did a great job of building a community, getting people to help. Okay. We need to do the same thing in data. We need to establish community sharing. We need to share what works. We need to be there to help each other. We need to have that community of practice to really make people better overall. Okay. So the last point I've got is right here. To be successful with people, we always need to be selling. Okay. There was a former client of mine who that was his mantra. He said, look, I've got a small data governance team, but I'm always selling our data capabilities. I'm always selling what we're doing in data governance. I'm always trying to to promote the great things that different groups are doing across our organization. Okay. So with that, I'm going to thank you for your time. If you want more information from us, need additional assistance, please reach out. And again, thank you very much for your time. And I hope this was helpful for you. So have a great day and hope to talk to all of you really, really soon. Bye bye.